Welcome back to another edition of the Field of 68's Off the Carousel series. I am Sean Paul, joined by Gardner-Webb head coach Jeremy Luther. Coach, how you doing so far, and how does it feel to hear head coach Jeremy Luther instead of Gardner-Webb assistant coach Jeremy Luther?
Yeah, it feels great. It's been something been waiting for a good bit here, and it finally came true a few months ago, and we hit the ground running. Um, so we had the guys in this summer, and so the transition was smooth. I being here for 11 years. Um, my last two jobs, I came in brand new, so you're trying to navigate all the newness. So this time, having been here, I just moved a couple office doors down. My office is bigger,
Hmm.
and I guess my word means a lot more now. People are a little more responsive when I speak, I guess you could say.
Did you have a whiteboard in your other office, or is this also a new development?
No, I did not have this
Okay,
this
see?
wall behind me. Yeah, it's the whole wall. Tim Kraft did that, and it's worked well. We just get in here and start drawing things up and putting things on the board and keeping them up there for a while, erasing them. And if we like them, we keep them. So it's something that he had, and obviously I've kept up with it.
Speak to your relationship about Coach Kraft with me a little bit. Obviously now at Western Carolina, but if you guys didn't have a good relationship, I'm assuming you wouldn't have been there for 11 years. So can you tell me about that relationship a little
Well,
bit?
yeah. A lot of people don't know. Well, some people know the story. So Tim and I go back further than 11 years. We actually went to high school together.
Oh, see, I didn't know that actually. So,
Yeah, so I was 4 years older than him. So
wow.
I was the senior on campus in high school, and he was the freshman. So yeah, we grew up together, our family. Hang on, let me turn this off. Let me, there we go. Yeah, so we grew up, our families know each other. We've known each other for however many years that is, 30, 35 years. And then we were assistants. So I was an assistant at Mercer University when I first got started, and I helped him get the job here at Gardner-Webb
Mhm.
as an assistant. I knew the staff, Chris Holtman and Rick Scruggs and those guys, and they
Good
called. And
staff.
yeah, they called, and I gave him a good recommendation since I knew him for so long. Tim was a junior college guy. So he got the job here, and I was at Mercer. Then I got my first head Division II job, and parlayed that into another Division II job. And then he called me. I think it was like August the 1st or August, whatever, 12 years ago, and said, "Hey, I just got the Gardner-Webb job. Would you come and help me get this thing going or keep this thing going?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." So that's kind of how I got here with him. But we've known each other for a long time, and close, we best of friends, close friends, whatever you want to call it, for years. And yeah, so we've been here. We're here 11 years together, and it was a really good deal while we were here.
So as soon as he decided to take the Western Carolina job, I'm sure you already probably knew about it. Did you know right away that you're going to get the job at Gardner-Webb? And if you didn't, were you going to go with him to Western Carolina?
Yes and no. So I wanted the job. It was always the plan
Hmm.
for me. If we did the job we were supposed to do, and he got another opportunity, I would have loved to slid into this job. But the previous administration that had hired Tim, they had since all retired, and so we have a new AD who's awesome, have a new president who's awesome. But at the same time, we had only been here with our AD 2 years and our
Hmm.
president 5. So you just don't know. We never really crossed that bridge. So when he accepted that job, obviously I went right to them right away, and they said, "Look, you're going to have to go through the same process as anybody. That's how our president here at Gardner-Webb works." So I had to go through the Zooms. It was weird. I did a Zoom interview, and their offices are, down the hallway. But I did the Zoom and made the top three of the Zoom,
There you
and
go.
had to do the on-campus interview with 4 or 5 different committees. Obviously, I knew everybody on the committee,
Hmm.
so those were, and they went as good as they possibly could go, because I knew everybody. And then had the interview, the dinner interview at Dr. Downs, our president, his wife, and the AD, and his wife, and my wife, and so that went well. So they put me through the whole process, which was good. It was good for me to sit there and have to work hard for it, and do what I need to do on the interviews. And I guess I did a pretty good job, and they called me, the day 2 days later and said, "Hey, man, would want nothing more than for you to be our guy." So yeah, but if that hadn't worked out, then yes, I was going to go with Tim to Western. I would
They
have.
probably knew that already, though. They just want to make you work for it a little bit just to make sure you really
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
it.
yeah, and they did. They made me work for 2 weeks. I was the interim. And I was like, man, what are we doing here? I don't know what else I could do. 11 years and all the success we had, and all the guys we were able to get to play here, and all the teams we beaten and got to the NCAA tournament. But they made me go through it. I'm grateful they made me go through it. It was a great process for me to have. I mean, I didn't have a resume. The last resume I turned in was probably 15 years ago because all the jobs I'd gotten, I'd known the people, got the
Hmm.
job. I didn't have to have a resume for Tim. So I had to scramble to find a resume and put that together with all the new technology and stuff within, a few hours, and get that into the search committee and all that good stuff. So, or the search firm actually. So, but yeah, it was a great process. And yeah, here we are.
You mentioned some of the great players you've gotten to play there, and two that you've gotten to come back is Jermaine Mann and Anthony Selden, two guys that were really good in the past at Gardner-Webb. You're able to get them back in the transfer portal. What was that like recruiting those two guys again? Because they went to other locations, but was their heart always at Gardner-Webb? Is that how you got them back?
Well, with Anthony Selden, he was here for 4 years. He was a really good player for us. Um, so he was able to grad transfer to Rice, and he almost stayed here, but he said, he wanted to kind of see the next level. And then he actually, through correspondence with me, since he and I were so close, it just wasn't really what he thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
So his heart, he realized, because he's the last of the COVIDs, him and Jermaine, the last of the COVID kids. So they're older kids now.
Hmm.
So they have that 6 year. And so once I got the job, I called him right away and said, "Hey, look, what better place to be? You're going to play one more year." He wanted to go to Rice. He wanted to have the statistical success or whatever at that level, hopefully parlay that into a better professional job. Well, it just
Hmm.
didn't work. Got some injuries. I don't know all the details behind it, but he knew he couldn't get the job he wanted to, so he had to find another place. And I said, "What better place to play? You know me. I recruited you. Got a great relationship. You know what it's going to be all about here at Gardner-Webb. So there's no other better place for you to go." And Jermaine was a little different. He was the year COVID hit. That's when he played for us.
Hmm.
But we got to know him. Obviously, he was here for a year, but I wasn't the primary recruiter on Jermaine. Um, and then, how that whole year is just such a weird year for
Super
everybody
weird. Yeah.
involved. You feel like you didn't even know him. I was like, "Jermaine, you were here for a year, but I can hardly remember what you looked like because everybody's wearing a mask the whole time.
Yep.
And so his was the same deal. He went to Vanderbilt, then he went to Georgia State, just didn't really develop for him. But my associate head coach, who I hired, Jake Delaney, he was the guy that recruited him, had a really good relationship with Jermaine. And so I brought Jake back with me. He felt comfortable with Jake. Obviously, I had to get on the phone with his parents and him and just kind of shore up the deal because he only had 1 year left. And he too wanted to opportunity to be the best year basketball wise he could be in. And knowing us, knowing our system, knowing the success he had as a freshman in our league, he just felt really comfortable coming back. So two great kids, both of them had really good summers. Really looking forward to having both those guys in our program.
So from a recruiting standpoint, obviously things are a little bit different in a mid-major conference like you guys are in, but what would you say is more important, obviously, for you guys in your conference? Is it relationships? NIL obviously isn't going to be as big as it is at the high major level, but what's the most important thing recruiting wise for you guys these days?
Yeah, so I really think you hit on that with relationships, and then the fact that if a kid is really serious about having the best basketball experience,
Hmm.
they can come into our level and really put forth, statistically what people are looking for, playing time, all the things that come with that. And that's kind of my pitch right now. We can't give you the money that some other schools are going to give you. But what we can do, like with Jermaine and Anthony, that it's a 7 month rental. They're going to
Hmm.
rent me for 7 months. I'm renting them for 7 months. And, they can put together a resume that they can now go out and have a chance to get a bigger check professionally than probably going to both kids could have played at a higher level. Both already did.
Hmm.
But are they going to, put forth the numbers that they want and what people are looking for at a Power Five school when they're just a 10, 12, 15-minute kid, or come here, be a 30-minute kid
Yep.
and really put forth, what everybody's looking and wanting to see. And then, they can parlay that into a bigger opportunity for them. So that's kind of how I sold it to them.
Hmm.
Is you got a chance to play a lot of minutes on a team that's been really good over the last 10, 11 years. I think that sells more than just going and being kind of a secondary option for some other schools, being a primary guy for us.
And looking forward as to what else you guys have besides Jermaine Mann and Anthony Selden next year, what are you looking for from this team? Who are some guys that you're looking for making some jumps next season?
Yeah. So we're really old. I
Mm.
mean, Anthony Selden's going to be 26 years old this year, so, he's been around, or 25, I'm sorry, 25. He's
Man,
been
you're
around the
aging him.
block.
Come on.
I know, right? Jermaine, again, is into his fifth year. We got a kid, Isaiah Richards,
Hmm.
who's into his fifth year as well. Big 6'10" kid who had some, good moments for us last year. Ademide Badmiss is going into his fourth year, been with us the entire time. Again, he was another kid, a big 6'8" kid down low that had some really good moments for us last year. Buddy Simmons, a kid that played behind DQ Nicholas last year, is only going to be a sophomore, but he was a prep school kid, had a lot of success at the prep school at Putnam Science, won 3 national championships, also won the EYBL with the Expressions. He won the Peach Jam for them. So, he's had a lot of, he's played at a high level. So he's got a chance to really make a jump, had a great summer. Just a prototypical point guard that really distributes the ball, can make shots from distance, athletic, but he's a pass first kind of kid. Yeah. So then we signed a junior college kid, Pharrell Boyugano, who was a top 100 kid who can really shoot it, athletic. I think this team is going to be really big and really athletic, and we got a bunch of kids. We try to target a bunch of kids to just play really hard.
Hmm.
So we are older. I think we're going to be really athletic, and I think we got some really tough kids. And so that's kind of how we kind of approached the summer and what we were looking for.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook. We are going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners, the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the year. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. The best part, all you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your own hard-earned money to be eligible. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using that bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. BetMGM is going to have some fun offers available throughout the NBA playoffs. Bet insurance tokens, odds boost, and what I love, a nice parlay boost or two from time to time, as well as a ridiculous array of player prop bets for any sport that you could possibly imagine betting on. BetMGM is and always will be the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use the bonus code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share the YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show.
Not a lot of people really know what Jeremy Luther style basketball looks like since you haven't been a head coach at the D1 level. So what does that look like for you next season when it's your program?
Yeah. Tim and I, obviously he was the head guy and he did a phenomenal job. He is really good at what he does. So I'm not going to really change a bunch. I did all the recruiting and Tim did all the X's and O's. So all these kids were my kids. So the style of kid that we have is not going to be much different.
Hmm.
I have said this to a lot of people, being here for the last 11 summers, I feel better at this point about what we have than I have over the past 11 summers, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And we've been good. We hit all the things that we needed to hit on as far in recruiting. We've got great size. We have great athleticism. We got some really hardworking guys, some really unselfish guys. I don't think there's going to be any ball dominant guys that have to have the ball in their hands. Um, so that's kind of what I wanted to do in recruiting. This team being my first team, and we returned a lot of guys. We only brought in 4 new kids, and two, actually 5. Two of those 5 had already been with us.
Hmm.
So really only 3 kids, 2 prep school kids, and then a junior college kid. So, you know, it's kind of coaching cliche, play hard, play smart, play together, all the things you want to hear. But as far as us, we're going to play really fast, like we did last year. And we've got some really good athletes and really good length and size and some really good spots. So if it goes to say how we've been being a top 2 or 3, kind of top 4 team in the league for 11 straight years, and I feel better about this team at this point than I have the last 11, I think we're going to have a chance to be pretty good when we get to our level.
So, what would you say the biggest thing that you guys need to do this year to get back in that top 4 once again this season?
Got to make shots from distance. That's going to be the one deal. We have 3 kids that are in our actually 4 with Buddy Simmons, Pharrell, Shahar Lazar, and Taku Youngblood. Those 4 guys, if they can find a way to make a shot, and they all can, if they can just when the lights are on, if they can make a
Mhm.
shot, I really feel like we've got all the right pieces for us to be successful in the Big South because, again, I think we're bigger. I think we're faster. I think we're more athletic than we've ever been. Um, and if those guys can do what they did this summer and make some shots, obviously it'll extend the defense, and then your athleticism kind of really exposes some other teams just because the floor is going to be more spread out.
I'll add this. Personally, I'm a really big fan of the Big South. Like, I think it's a really fun league to watch. You had High Point last year. You had Longwood, who ends up winning the league. You guys have been so good for a number of years. Asheville's been really good. What would you say to the people that haven't really watched this league and give them a pitch as to why they should watch this league next season?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we have some really good coaches in this league.
Mhm.
We have some really good teams. I mean, take us for example. In our 11 years, Tim and I, together, we've beaten 6 Power 5 opponents. Those are money games. Those are
Mhm.
guarantee games. The reason they're guaranteed is they're guaranteed for them to win, us to lose.
Yep.
And if you go right down the line, Longwood's been able to do it. Asheville's been able to do it. Winthrop's been able to do it. So we're competing at a high level. There's we find it really hard to get some non-conference winnable games just because nobody wants to play us.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for me this year. Even I'm a first-time Division I head coach, and I was still struggling to find games. And if you talk to Mike at Asheville or some of the other guys, Allen and those guys, they can't find games
Yeah.
because
No.
we're good, and nobody wants to play good.
Hmm.
Your non-conference is supposed to be games you're supposed to win or have a chance to win to get you set up for conference play. And for us and for all the other teams in our league, it's been a struggle. So, we compete at a high level, top to bottom. It's really good. I think last year we were maybe 18th as far as in all the different nets and RPIs or whatever. It was the toughest league. It was the toughest the league had ever been since we'd been in it for the last 11 years. That put us in front of, team conferences like the Colonial Conference and things
Hmm.
like that. So, yeah, it's a great level. I think what people also overlook is just the home court environments. You come in, to Gardner-Webb on a Wednesday night, you're going to have a really good crowd in there. You go to High Point or you go to Asheville, you go to Winthrop, you go to Longwood, you go to Radford. there's not a break. There's not a night
Mhm.
off in the league. Really good players, really good coaches, and great atmospheres.
Yeah, and to me, it seems like Big West or Big South schools have done a really good job at bringing in transfers, and to me, I feel like that's part of why they've been so good in recent years compared to years before that.
Yeah, yeah, and then the portal. That's what the portal has done.
Hmm.
Coming before this year, the previous two, we had 11 scholarships in 2 years, and we brought 10 of the 11 from the portal. Second chance kids, and I think that's how you have to at our level. That's how you have to kind of recruit the portal. We can't buy kids like some other places can buy kids. So what you sell those kids on is, hey, it didn't work out where you were.
Hmm.
Multiple school kid, it can work out for you here. You just got to have an opportunity, and we're able to provide them that opportunity. So yeah, our league is really old. Look at my team. We're really old.
Yep.
I've got a true sophomore. He was an Israeli. So he went to the Israeli army for 3 years. Then he went to New Mexico State and redshirted. So now he played for us last year. He'll be a sophomore for us this year, and he's 24 years old. So I've got a 24-year-old sophomore. I've got two 25-year-old fifth and sixth year kids. I got a 24-year-old fifth year kid. So the league is old. So what you get is you get just a lot more experience out there. And I think it's a better brand of basketball.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you coming on for this interview. That'll wrap it up with Gardner-Webb head coach Jeremy Luther. If you guys haven't checked out Big South basketball at all in the past couple years, I think you guys need to because it'll be a very competitive conference once again. So thanks again to Coach, and we'll have more off the carousels coming.
Awesome.